We are slaves to an economy. We're slaves to the idea that our wealth is something to which we're entitled. And the system which we derive our wealth from is something which we then must serve. I am a white North American male, which basically puts me on top of the world. But not on top like upheld by throngs of adoring public. More on top like I used to get on top of my little brother and pin him down and grab his arms and slap him in the face with them and tell him to stop hitting himself repeatedly. I'm on top of the world. I am happy because I don't feel overly materialistic, which is to say that very few of my goals in life have price tags attached beyond, meeting my basic human needs. And the majority of good research on happiness right now, which is a funny new field of academia, the majority of happiness research right now says that money and things do not make you happy beyond their ability to feed, clothe, and shelter you. As all the great religious and philosophical traditions will tell you that the root of your unhappiness is the desire for something you don't have. I actually swing a mop for a living, so pretty much so long as I have a roof over my head, I'm okay.
You sound, Charles, like you're fairly content.
Yeah, oh absolutely. I'm content. I'm both content and smug. It's disgusting.
Are you smug about being content? Is that what you're saying?
I think so, yeah. I think, smug about being content. Smug about contentness. You see, the problem with capitalism in its current manifestation is that it attaches far too much of the quote-unquote happiness we are to seek to material goods. It makes us slaves to an economy that most of us don't know anything about. Give me 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. I gotta cock a thought and then I'm good. For us to become happier as a society, it's important that we acknowledge that our dominant economic system, capitalism, is broken. It's gotten out of control, and it's no longer serving our best interests as a global society. Now, where capitalism fails in connecting us to our neighbors, which is the true source of happiness, is here. One of the fundamental pillars of capitalism is that it is supposed to base a society's wealth and create a society's wealth on the manufacture of goods to meet needs. But herein lies the problem. We no longer manufacture goods to meet the world's needs. But now it manufactures artificial needs to sell its goods. If capitalism were actually functioning to manufacture goods to address needs, it would be dealing with massive inequity, poverty, and injustice present just about everywhere you look outside of our own little dream world here in North America. There is so much superficial junk present in our lives, which is damaging both to our mental environment and our planet. Yeah, our spiritual poverty of loneliness stems from our material glut of crap. I think that there is an inherently alienating quality about the consumerist mindset because it convinces you, it sells you the idea that things are that which will make you happy. Even the falsehood that things are that which will connect you to your fellow human beings. Yeah, well, I've heard Naomi Klein say that the consumerist economy is like a crack fiend, but its drug is growth. And the idea of constant growth of an economy without any consideration given to the moral validity of the principles of that economy and its behavior in the world, what effect it has in the lives of human beings and on the planet. So yeah, I do think that it's totally fair to say that it's an addiction, both in the philosophical sense of capitalist economics having an addiction to growth, and also in the way that it affects individuals. I believe individuals are affected in an enormously adverse way by the constant bombardment from age 0 of the incentive to buy. You are constantly bombarded with advertising. Advertising is an omnipresent voice in our heads. It's something which verges on mind control, and it victimizes children. It seeks them out, and they are indeed the most vulnerable to it, I think. But which in turn keeps their parents on the path which they were likely steered onto as children as well. And you know, you don't just have to be a shopaholic. I think we're all addicted to products that are derived in a way that's detrimental to the health of the planet and to the health of human societies. You know, we live in an economy that will do absolutely anything to sustain itself and its way of growing, which in turn means that that economy will do anything at all to keep us comfortable. And I think that our souls, and indeed the correctness of our ideas, become victims of our comfort. Christmas is essentially too become the sort of festival of consumerism. I feel like it's a shopping orgy, and we just orgiastically consume things which make us really happy, in the same way, like I said, as a drug. And then, you know, you have your hangover later on and your credit card debt. I have experimented, despite my relative, you know, Western version of poverty, you know, I have experimented with giving away money, getting rid of money, and I think that I am thoroughly indoctrinated enough with my own, you know, sort of counter-consumer cultural ideas that I would manage to shed money, because it's become such a spiritual conviction for me that I often feel burdened by it. Just recently I got a raise, and I make $13 an hour. I have no benefits, and the government takes about 20% of my net income as tax. Some of which I see back, most of which I don't, because the accountants at my work are very competent. For 1 year, what I managed to do, in accordance with Peter Singer's sort of lowest common denominator in his philosophical, you know, call for generosity, I gave away 5%. It probably worked out to being, I think, about 6 or 7% by the time all was said and done and Christmas had passed. I had managed to give away about just over 5% of my net income, my actual cash money. And it was my experience that my wife and I actually had fun shopping for charitable causes to give our money to. That said, it wasn't necessarily about, for me anyways, it was not about doing good for charity or through charity. It was about, you know, charity doing good for my soul. And it was my experience that that was true, that I was able to rid myself of that portion of my income without ever missing it. And with having, you know, the arguable added spiritual benefits of having given it away in the first place to hopefully something decent, rather than a giant corporation which has convinced you to buy more of its crap. It's morally and factually dishonest to not admit our way of life is causing immense harm. We, like every civilization before us, go to war and kill many innocent people for resources. We use our resources on frivolous and silly things, and I think that the most important thing I would like to get across, simply by living my life the way I live it, and by talking to people who are motivated to make changes towards a more reasonable, simple, and truly happy way of living, is that it's so true that money can't make you happy. Specifically, it can't make you happy beyond its ability to help you take care of your basic needs. So stop addressing frivolous needs. You know, your car, your property, your investments, they won't sit with you when you're old. They won't talk to you when you're lonely. They won't teach your kid anything that he wouldn't be better for having learned from you.